Hey, Stu.
Tom, how are you?
Good, man. Tactical Fitness Report with Stu Smith. This is number 50.
50, big 50.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
about staying fit during the holidays, buddy.
All right.
You wrote a great article that's on military.com. I think it came out earlier this week on Monday or so.
Yeah, you know what? It actually was from a conversation that we had last week after the podcast. We just kept talking, and you gave me the idea to, write about why the fall is such a great time to start working out again. Or, keep it up. If you were pretty good in the summer, keeping things going, a lot of people tend to fall off in the fall because their schedules change so much. So we came up with some good ideas to write that article, and that's it. It's in the description in there if you want to read in detail. But that's what this show is about, right? We're just going to talk about this article and how why we think the fall is the time to start training hard.
Yeah, I think this thing started, Stu, back a while back when we kept laughing about the time that somebody asked Jocko about New Year's resolutions.
Ah,
And he just, you know how he reacts to those kind of questions. Why do I just now decide what I'm going to do January 1st? Just do it now. Do it when you come up with it. And the whole point here that you were making to me last week was that as you go, you've had the summer off, and especially a lot of times August is really slow, and you've had plenty of time to work out. The days are long, the weather's good, nice and warm, and then you get slammed. Kids go back to school, all the activities start back again. A lot of the work activities become more intense, and you start falling behind in the priorities of doing your workouts. And then it even gets worse because football starts for those who love football, baseball's ending, and you have all these parties and you start eating heavily at these things, and just makes the whole matter worse. And in the introduction here, you said that many Americans gain almost 5 pounds from October to December.
yes, yeah, and when we talk about, I guess the title, really wasn't happy with the editor when he put this as a title, because this has nothing really to do about the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
It is starting now. I mean, this is September, right? And we're getting into October. We're really not really near the holidays if you think about it. I'm not really concerned about the holidays. What I want to do is start the momentum now in the early fall. So when you have that momentum, you're seeing progress, and then you get to Halloween, right? When there's candy everywhere, and there are all these little places to nibble on snacks throughout the house because it's just everywhere. You make a decision not to do that, or maybe you're a little more moderate, and then you get into, now it's pure football season, after that, and baseball's over, and it's crazy because there's hours and hours of football a week that you used to be fairly active. Now you're sitting on your butt watching football, which is fine. I mean, I try not to do that. I probably watch maybe one game a week, if that
Yeah,
now.
yeah, me too.
Um, but I just can't sit that long anymore. But there's a lot of nasty things that occur with that. There's extra drinking, there's chips and nachos, there's wings, and just a lot of high fat, high calorie foods that you're battling with, and on top of it being sedentary, right? And then you have Thanksgiving, which is just, hey, let's eat 10 pounds of food and just lay around and the rest of the day and watch football, right? And then and then you go into, the stressful season of Christmas, and that is even worse, right? It gets to the point where, there's quick holiday travels here and there that's highly stressful, and you're coming down with a cold. There's so many reasons why your workout just falls off the to-do list, between pretty much between September and January. And I think that's probably why people say, all right, January's here. It's a new year.
Yeah.
I'm ready to get started again. Finally got it through the holidays. But my recommendation is to keep that momentum going, strong now. And, if you can, and here's a goal I want to set for you. If you cannot gain weight during the holidays, you win.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
You know what I mean? Just
Yeah, I
try not
do.
to gain
That's a
weight
great
during the
idea.
holidays. So instead of worrying about losing weight through the holidays, just try not to gain weight during the holidays.
I have to tell you, Stu, we did a podcast not long ago about the whole issue of nutrition and weight gain. And the recommendation you made to me, and I sent you a message after I'd done this for a while, where you just said, look, if you really want to understand uh, what's going on, write everything down you eat.
Yep.
And I have to tell you, man, I've been doing that ever since you told me to do that. Except for one day when I was so embarrassed to write it down, I wouldn't write it down because I was traveling. I had a board meeting in Palo Alto. And so, I was there and they had all kinds of crap and I was doing. I tell you, when you get to the point of you're writing that stuff down, you say to yourself, why in the world do I need that much food? Why do I need that kind of stuff? And I have to tell you, man, there were a couple times, not more than a couple, where I deliberately did not take something that was offered to me because I
You knew you
had
had
to
to write
write
it
it
down.
down. I know.
It's
I was embarrassed to write it down.
it's such a good system and it's so simple. I did the exact same thing and I am losing this, weight between, probably about 3 weeks ago I figured it out and I have dropped like 7 pounds already.
Stu, that's
And
amazing.
I haven't changed anything. I was just kind of stuck with this powerlifting weight gain that I had and I'm trying to lose some bulk and yeah, I mean it was just peanut butter.
Yeah,
Peanut
you
butter
mentioned that. Yeah,
was my nemesis and I had
yeah.
no idea. I mean, I was tearing up a couple of, jars full of peanut butter a week, and my family does it too. My son and my daughter, they love it, and they're teenagers, so they don't gain weight. They're trying to gain weight. They can't gain
Yeah.
weight. But anyway, so yeah, I realized I was putting in about 600 to 800 calories a day of peanut butter, and that adds up. I mean, I
Yeah.
was lucky to maintain weight. Surprised I wasn't gaining, but I work out really hard. So I've kept my
Right.
workouts where they are. And I just took out the peanut butter and made all the difference. Just
Yeah,
that
I'll tell
little,
you.
remember that one show we did about the 1,000 calories?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It's really what it was. For me, it wasn't a whole 1,000. It was about 600 to 800 calories. But there's this somewhere in your diet, you're either going to have you have a calorie deficit or a calorie surplus. And if you can figure that out, you can figure where the leaks are in your diet, you can definitely see a big difference real quick.
I'll just tell you, writing it down, Stu, just the documentation of staring at it, you just say to yourself, why do I need this much food? It really does hit you. Um, but anyway, so let's get back to this. So one of the topics, and this is really, as you said, and you and I were talking about this, the subject is really about how do you maintain your momentum during this final quarter of the year from September to December, so that you don't get tripped up by all the distractions and so forth. And we were talking about this is the season of change, is what you called it. And my comment to you was, the thing is, in the Northern Hemisphere, man, this is the best time of year to work out because the leaves are changing, temperatures are getting cool and crisp. It's just, I love it being in
Even
New
in the
England.
South, it's less hot.
It's less hot. Yep.
You're dealing with 75, 80-degree days instead of 95, 100-degree
Yep.
days, when you're down in South too.
Oh
So
man, and you and I know that from growing up down there. It's the humidity and the temperature that equal themselves are brutal.
yeah. So I mean, like I said, yes, the days are getting shorter, and it's tougher to squeeze that in, and you may have to do some workouts that are in the dark, whether it's dark 30 in the morning or it's dark 30 at night. Um, that may happen, but you can also like try to break them up, like everybody's busier in the fall. It seems like between now and New Year, everybody's busy, or busier. And think so that adds stress to your life, so at any time of the year, if there's a time to start or keep your workouts up, it's now, because it's just going to make you feel better, and you're probably going to have more energy to do things. And so it just kind of just pumps itself, self-priming pump here. As long as you get some exercise in, it helps with your stress levels. You get your stress levels in, you're probably going to be a little happier and be able to do a little more things that you like to do, So, and you don't have to do it all at once. It doesn't have to be at first thing in the morning. It can be, 30-minute walk at lunchtime, just do something,
Yeah.
Now I will say this, I am battling some allergy issues
Mm-hmm.
going on in the fall. So I would say there's some issues there. You try to stay on top of that, with some antihistamines. Don't, I have a problem with this when I have like a sore throat, scratchy throat, and like sinus congestion, and I still work out hard and run, that will just turn right into bronchitis for me by end of October.
Really?
Yeah, all the time, especially if I'm running in the with the pollen everywhere or whatever, the fall leaf pollen or whatever. And so I have to kind of figure out, make sure I stay on top of my antihistamines for that reason, and just not work out to a point where I'm really stressing out my lungs. So I'm not doing like hardcore running and getting all that pollen in there and it just gets inflamed and things like that. So that is something you have to look out for, when you're doing your workouts, especially outside. If you live in an area where it's high pollen, like here in the Middle East or
Middle East.
yeah,
probably
not much pollen there. Yeah, Mid-Atlantic. Things are a little bit, high pollen. So anyway, it's something to consider, but you can work around it. You can work out inside. You can do more weightlifting, maybe instead of running, for miles and miles and miles and letting the allergies beat you up the whole time. There are some other things. You can wear sunglasses, or glasses that tend to, will help with pollen going right into your eyes if your eyes get irritated. I've even seen some guys, wear the mask, just, while they're running, or some kind of, like a bandana around their face just to kind of help screen it a little bit.
And attractive, and it also gets attention if you put a bandana around there.
Yeah, that's right. Colors.
Yeah, put a hoodie on, and nobody will pay attention to you.
No, and yeah.
But Stu, is there any time of day that is better or worse for pollen?
Good question. I think the morning is probably the best, but I am guessing. I just know that I work out in the morning and it's a lot better in the morning than it is later in the afternoon for me, at least with the air quality. However, sometimes after it rains is probably the best, because it kind of beats it all down, gives it some weight, and it goes to the ground. So, there's a couple different things, but like I said, I don't want to beat up this podcast about allergies. It's just one of the many things that I think in the fall that start taking away from your ability to train, right? Whether it is the end of the day, or it's the end of the daylight, getting earlier, or it's the the pollen, or the busy schedules, kids at school, everything's kind of turned upside down for you. All these things tend to cause a just another excuse for you to not train.
And you were talking about the shorter days, Stu. And one of the things that you have, the way you have your workouts structured, is you can take one of the modules and do them, and then do the other modules later in the day. I'm thinking of abs. I can almost always do abs in the morning when I'm in a hotel room somewhere or whatever, because I don't even have to take gym stuff with you to just put abs together and do a set of abs. And you need no equipment, but you are facing shorter days, and that does become a little discouraging.
Yeah, but if you think about it, it's the same amount of time in a 24-hour day. They're just not bright, So there may be some time, like we're running right now and it's dark, first thing in the morning. Whereas 2 months ago it was bright, at 5 a.m. But now it's still dark at 6:45. So we've lost some time already, and and when that occurs, no one really likes it, but it's just one of those things that if you can push through that in the fall, you'll just be that much better when the season kind of opens up, and January's here, and it's a whole new year, and you're just going into the new year with momentum. And then you can, instead of saying, hey, I want to try to lose 20 pounds this year, now you're already at a point where I've maintained, I've lost some weight, I got a good foundation of fitness. Now let's do that 5K that's coming up at the end of January, or whatever. You have a different level of goals, as opposed to doing nothing and being sedentary and gaining 5 to 10 pounds over the Christmas or the holidays. And then you go into January feeling like crap, and it's just hard to get on the bandwagon then, if you can start now while you're still feeling somewhat good from your progress from the spring and summer, take the fall and just keep the process rolling. I think that's where people make the biggest mistake, is it just ends for them in the fall.
Yeah.
Right? All the progress they've had from maybe the New Year's resolutions into the spring, I got to get ready for wearing shorts, and then the summer, hey, this is great, I'm active every day, to boom, the fall hits and everything falls upside down and you just stop. And, you can see the damage that you can do in 3 months, just by, gaining 5-10 pounds and plus not actively moving. It just makes January that much harder.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think this is more of a motivational piece than it is, some of the details of how do you do it. The goal is to just get out there and do it, and don't let yourself fall prey to the busy schedules, the shorter days, the business meetings, the holiday meetings, the heart of the holiday parties, the endless hours of indoor activities where you just do nothing. I think, in fact, in the article I write, if you're going to watch hours of football, bring the stationary bike or treadmill, into your living room, or put a TV into your, garage where your, exercise equipment is, if you really want to do that. Because it makes no sense. It makes no sense to be, sitting around doing nothing. I mean, it's great to do every now and then. Don't get me wrong. On some Saturdays, I can stay and watch 3 or 4 football games and just be really happy. But, that's something that, I think, once again, everything in moderation,
Absolutely. Stu, one of the questions that keeps coming up, I had somebody ask me this the other day, and it's related to all of this about nutrition. And he said to me, look, I can figure out how to, and he's really health conscious and works out a lot. He said, look, I can figure out how to step my workouts in. I can figure out how to eat lunch and dinner. I can't figure breakfast out. He said, and so he said to me, next time you talk to Stu, would you ask Stu, how do I think about breakfast in all of this? So thinking about in this context, he's gonna spend Sunday watching football. He's a football nut. He will go work out, but he's gonna spend hours watching football. And I think we've given people enough ideas of, all right, write down what you eat. Because if you're gonna have to write down what you're gonna eat, you're gonna be more careful about what you eat, for sure.
True. Yeah.
But how does somebody approach the idea of breakfast, Stu? How do you think about breakfast? I mean, he said to me to ask Stu what he eats for breakfast.
Okay.
But
fair enough question.
And we know what you like to eat, which is 3 or 4 tablespoons of peanut butter.
I would prefer that. Yes. But I don't. Here's the deal. It kind of depends. It kind of depends on, like, I wake up every morning and go work out, and that's before I eat breakfast. So some days I will have just a little bit of juice and maybe a piece of fruit before I go do that workout. Some days I'll have nothing. It just depends. If I know that I'm just doing a nice easy cardio day, I'm just going to go out there and go kind of light, and if I feel like I need some energy, I'll sip on some kind of juice or take a piece of fruit with me. But afterwards, I definitely need something. And I tend to focus more on the protein and good carbs. So I'll throw in a couple pieces of fruit and a piece of leftover steak from last night, or an omelet that I'll make an omelet with some eggs in it. Or if I don't have time to make an omelet, I have boiled eggs already pre-made in my refrigerator, and I just eat 3 or 4 boiled eggs. And I'll take the yolks out of, typically I'll take the yolks out of half of them, just to kind of decrease the cholesterol. But your body does need cholesterol to make certain hormones, so it's not something that, you actually do get some nutrients out of the yolks. I'm not a pure white yolk guy, but that's what I do. So I'll try to get some good proteins. I'll do some nuts, almonds, things like that. So good kind of, lean protein along with some, good fat protein as well.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
my guess is you also hydrate before you go to work out. I mean,
Yeah. And throughout the workout. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I have an article called the ABDs of nutrition, which stand for after, before, and during your workouts. What do you eat? So what do you eat before your workout? What do you eat after your workout? What do you eat and drink during your workout? And a lot of that, it depends on what you're doing. Obviously you don't need to eat during your workout, unless it's like a 4-hour workout or something. But sipping on water or sipping on some kind of carbohydrate drink, if you're really going anaerobic and you're burning the sugar, you might need some extra sugar if you still need some energy to finish your workout.
Got it. Well, that's really helpful. That's really helpful, Stu.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. So how do people get involved? What activities do you have going on that are going on now in the fall that people could be involved in?
Well, you know what? I like to say this. We do this stuff year round. So it's just because it's the fall doesn't mean it's anything different than what we did in the spring or winter. Now we change things up a little bit. We kind of take some of our high mileage stuff that we were doing in the summer when the days were long and our runs were long and our high rep calisthenics were high. Now we're kind of transitioning, and we're splitting about half that time inside the weight room doing some weights and the other half outside doing some calisthenics and running. So we're kind of decreasing our high mileage, high rep stuff, pulling in some weights. And then by the winter, we'll be focusing more on weights and non-impact cardio activities, just to kind of give our knees a break from all the running that we did previously. So it's, once again, we just make a bell curve with the year. And we're just coming down the backside of that bell curve now as far as mileage and repetitions. However, the intensity is still there. We're just focusing it on something else. Instead of a 4 or 5 mile run, we'll do a 2 or 3 mile run, but make it very fast. Right. Instead of, a pull-up workout where there's, 150, 200 pull-ups in a workout, we'll drop it down to less than 100, but we'll do some of them weighted, or we'll add in heavier pull downs. So we're just changing the focus, kind of focusing more on strength versus the hybrid stamina endurance, training that we've been doing. We don't get away from it so much. We're just not doing it as much, and we're trying to evolve into more of a pure strength training program for the winter. So, I mean, that's how we do it. And if you look in the description, you'll see some articles on periodization. And that's spelled period, ization, Zation. A lot of people, if you spell it in Word, it comes up as a red underline. It's not really a word. It's one of those things that people don't know a lot about it. So Google it, look into it. If you ask Siri what it is, she'll say, what is is Asian, right? Periodization, it comes up, if you say it into a text, like a speech to text. I was talking about the other day on a speech to text, and it came up as is Asian. So come on. So anyway, periodization is the way to go. And the cool thing about periodization is the way I do it, and the way I've been doing it for 20 years, is that every season, every quarter is a different focus. So we're leaving the spring or the summer, like hardcore running high rep calisthenics cycle, and going into the season of change, making a change, because if I were to do that again, keep doing it in the fall, I'd be pretty burned out by now from all the running and all the high rep stuff. I'd start feeling it in my joints. So now we're kind of transitioning out of that and changing it up. And that alone gives you a whole new mindset of going into the fall, changing things up. Instead of like, oh, I don't have time to work out. Now I'm kind of excited about, how do I fit this new cycle into my training program? And you just have to make it fit. Once again, I do my workouts before anybody in my family is awake, and I get it done, about when they're waking up. And I come in and say, hey, have a good day at school. See you later.
Yep. Yep. And so for you, the fall is a ratcheting down the repetitions and mileage, but ratcheting up the intensity.
Yes.
That's
So
the thing.
and speed. So we're focusing more on speed and
Yep.
agility, and less on distance and
Less
endurance.
on distance and high reps. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, good. All right, buddy. Well, this was your number 50 podcast, your 50th podcast.
Yeah.
And called Tactical Fitness Report with Stu Smith. And this is staying fit during the holidays, and it's really more about maintaining your momentum and building it so that you transition yourself well into what you really want, which is to sustain yourself in the cold winter days.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like keep it going. I mean, you've built some great momentum up. Now it's, don't fall off the wagon. Or instead of starting in January, start now. It's a great time to start. Walking is great at this time of year. Like I said, if you're susceptible to allergies or you live in a high allergy region, just be aware of that and take your antihistamines. Get on your Claritin. You'll be good to go.
All right, buddy. I will see you later. Later, pal.
All right. Thanks, Tom.